started out in banking. Honestly, I didn't know that was the career I wanted to be in. So I didn't choose it. I didn't choose it because I thought that would make me rich. Do I have time to tell this story when I became a banker? takes 10 seconds. I was at a very rich man's house for Chinese New Year because we go to his house every year for Chinese New Year. And I was standing in the soup queue, and he came along and he said to me, "Oh, so you've grown up, what are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I just graduated, I'm practicing law." And he says, "No, don't waste your time, don't be a lawyer, be a banker." And I thought, okay, I don't know anything about banking, I'm a lawyer. And there was this great big fat man standing next to me, and he says, "Oh, come Nick, let me introduce you to my friend, Tracy, give her a job." And he was a very rich man, and so a very important client of this banker, so this man didn't have a choice, he had to give me his card. So don't forget, I'm 25 at the time, so I took his card, and I was obligated to call him, right? Because this rich man asked me to call him. So I called him the next day, and he felt obligated to see me, so I went to see him, and he offered me a job. At the time, my husband and I were not married, and I said, "Shit, I'm going to have to go and see this man." So I showed up, and he decided to offer me a job. And I said to him, "What do I do? Do I take the job?" Which I did, and actually when I became a banker, I found it was something I really enjoyed doing. But I never, when I became a banker, thought, wow, in 30 years' time I want to be vice chairman. Actually, I never planned at any point in my career to think, okay, so now I want to be vice president, and director, and managing director, and so on. It was really all about what I enjoyed doing. Working hard, being creative, thinking about how to solve problems. And the promotions came, and of course along with it came the bonuses, and I am where I am, but I didn't plan for it as such. I will tell you what's important in banking. At the end of the day, if you don't have clients, you don't have business. If you don't have people working for you, you can't do it all yourself. You can't be a successful banker. If you don't have good bosses, you're not going to get you promoted, and you're not going to do it. But clients can only be your clients if they know that at the end of the day you act with integrity, you're honest, you think about your interests. People will only work for you if you're a good leader. You teach them. You teach them about not to take credit for things that they didn't do. You have to lead by example. And so, as a banker and as a person, that's what I've always believed in, that you have to have the right values, which was why when I first read Jetsuma's books, I thought, oh, okay, so I have never understood Buddhism in the right way, and trying to learn more about spirituality. So to answer your long question, go back to your first question, happiness. I think happiness to me is actually acting in an honest way, to have friends, to care about people, to have integrity, to make sure that I give my best to my family, my children, to advise them to do the right things, teach them about honesty. I remember when my daughter was in her teens, and she and I had a fight, and one day, so I said, "So, is there anything else you need to tell me?" Because she had been, she had been a bit naughty. And she said, "Okay, yeah, I do have one confession to make. Do you remember so-and-so's mother? I lied, and the mother helped me out." And I was so upset, because I had apologized to this lady for my behavior. I was upset with my daughter, and I thought to myself, I apologized to this lady who just lied to me to help my daughter. So I said to my daughter, I said, you know, two things. Please don't ever let me meet this lady again, because I won't be able to talk to her. But I told my daughter, I said, if you ever do something wrong, I will never lie for you. You know, I think to this day she's appreciated that. So I think in work it's the same. You have to be honest and you have to have integrity, and then everything else comes. Right? People respect you, your clients like you, you do well and you get promoted, and everything else comes along with it. So it's never about the money, it's actually about doing the right things and everything else comes. And that's actually what makes me happy, you know, that I've done the right things in my work and people, as opposed to sitting in a Porsche.
So I suppose to all the young people out there, honesty and integrity. So that would be your advice to the young people, honesty and integrity in any career profession they choose.
Well, I say this to my children all the time, that I think the only way you're going to be successful and good in your career is you have to be passionate about what it is that you do. Because if you have the passion, you'll be good at it, and if you're good at it, you'll be successful and everything else comes along. I'll tell this story. My son went to boarding school, and one day I had a call from his college advisor. My son at the time was applying to college, and the college advisor rang me and he said, you know, Mrs. Woon, I'm Mr. So may I ask what it is that you do? And I thought, oh, you know, am I in trouble? So I said, well, I'm a banker. I said, what's the problem? He said, I've been trying to advise Michael about which college to apply to, and your son said, whatever. He said at the time, he was 17, he told the teacher, he says, I don't know what I want to do, but whatever it is, I don't want to do what my mother does. Because she doesn't have a life. So I had to ring my son up and I said, son, why did you say that? He says, yeah, Mom, you know, when we go on holiday, you know, you have a mobile phone, you've got your laptop, and you know, you have your little black book, and you know, how do you think you can have a life with us? And I was only then that I had to explain to him that, did he ever think about when I'm working, I actually enjoy my work and it's not hard work. So he was a bit doubtful until I said to him, think about you and your computer games, you know, you love your computer games and you can't stop. Well, it's a bit like that for your mother. And he always says he can't remember this story.
So he's not a banker now.
Be passionate about what it is that you want to do, because if you don't have the passion, you'll never be good at what you do.
Thank you, Tracy. Okay, this next question came through the telephone voting. This is actually a question for His Eminence. His Eminence shared earlier about looking up and looking down, and I believe this is good to be happy and contented, but would this lead to complacency if we just keep looking down? And if yes, how do I counteract this? Before I pass the mic to His Eminence, may I ask who asked this question? Yay, you've gotten the prize. And just to encourage people to ask more questions, you know, whoever asks a question that gets read out, you will get a book signed by His Eminence. Otherwise, you know, you could also raise your hands and there will be a mic passed on to you. So you could either email, SMS, or you could raise your hands and we will pass the mic to you.
Generally, first I think we have to define why do we want success. Success by itself doesn't make sense. Success has a purpose. what's the success for? So if we, probably I will think that we want success because we believe that success will give us happiness. So if we have to prioritize between happiness and success, surely I will feel that happiness has to be given priority, because that is the result that we are hoping for. So when we look down a little bit, we feel happy about where we are in life. Yet if we still choose to be, let's say we have reached the position of the managing director, and we should be enjoying that position also, where you have reached your family. So that and if you want, you can go up to the chairman. But if you cannot enjoy being the status of the managing director, then probably when you reach the chairman, probably you will not be that happy also. But it will involve a lot of sacrifice to reach up there. Health, time, family, so and so. So it really depends on what you want. And similar like this, I was asked a question by, because in Bhutan, when I was going to schools, we talk about don't be jealous, don't be proud, so and so. So one student asked me, said that if I'm not jealous, it means I'm not competitive in my education, in my studies. So if I'm not competitive, that means I will not excel. We are supposed to thrive on, can you all hear me? We are supposed to thrive on competition. That's why we need to be jealous in order to be well educated or do well in exam. So, of course, I was a little bit stumped for a moment, because I myself have not gone through the school, and we are not pressured that much in terms of our education. So my answer to her was that when we are being driven to success, we can be driven either by a sense of jealousy or a sense of responsibility to others, to the world, to the family, to your country, so and so. For example, if you go to Bhutan, you will see many monasteries, top of the mountain, where you have to walk 3 hours in the car. And that is nowadays. In olden days, entire you have to walk on them, and 2-story, 3-story mountains. So I will say that in terms of accomplishment, building a skyscraper nowadays, and building a monastery at that time probably took same, if not more, effort. So in terms of success, these masters were very successful. They built a skyscraper long time. So that also took effort, dedication, concentration, commitment. But the commitment is not fueled by jealousy or competition, but the commitment is fueled by a sense of responsibility, sense of compassion, wish to make a difference in others' life. It can equally be a driving force. Driving force doesn't necessarily have to be a negative. I may be quite naive, but I kind of envision sometimes, because when I read in magazines sometimes, and in the companies, I believe that people are given incentive, financial incentive to do well. You have worked hard, we'll give you a bonus. But I feel sometimes that even whether it is in the companies and all, I don't know how it is. I've never worked in a company. I just read about it. I read a lot. So Madam will probably know more. You guys know more. But I feel that equally strong incentive can be if we are respected, if our work is appreciated. Even though we may be very low, somebody like a janitor, I don't think we should be looked down upon. Because janitor perform very important. If all the toilets are blocked, what will the chairman do? Where will he go? So he's also very important, the janitor. In big opening ceremony, if all the toilets are blocked, very embarrassing. Tomorrow it will come out a headline. So everybody in the company, I feel, if they are respected, if their work appreciated, spoken with a kindness. When there's criticism comes with a respect, explanation, not with the harsh word, hatred, all of that. I also think that, that we are human beings. We are very much emotional beings, actually. I feel that you will definitely feel part of that company. Feel the care to work harder, to be part of that company, because you are respected, care, and that can be equally like a bonus. You may be given bonus, but you are scolded, you are disrespected, shouted out by public. I don't know. If I ever worked, I will definitely not work for that incentive. So that is my view. What's the question? Complacency, yes.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions from the floor?
Hello, can you all hear me? Hi, my name is Sally. I'm asking two questions. One is on behalf of my Dawa brother who is not here, but I think that it will be good to get an answer for him. He works as a job agent, so his job is to match companies and people who are looking for jobs. So basically the companies hire him to look for individuals to fill positions in a company. And because I had a conversation with him recently, I was encouraging him to take the 5 precepts, and he said he can take all except the one on lying, and I said why? He said in his line of work, he has to tell lies. And I asked him, what do you mean? He said that frequently he faces situations like a candidate is late for work, and then the person will call him and say, oh, I woke up late today. So he has to lie to his client, the company, and say, and make an excuse for the candidate. And if he told the truth, which is the candidate woke up late, it's likely that the candidate would not get hired, or the company will not consider this person. In a sense, his business would not run very well if he actually told the truth in such situations. I didn't really know how to advise him beyond telling him that you need to find a skillful way to tell the truth. So this question is somewhat related to the category 2 question, the number 6, what should one do when we are asked in our work to do something that's not in line with Buddhist teachings? So I would like all of the 3 speakers to give their point of view on this question. The second question is my own, which I guess would be addressed to Jetsuma and His Eminence. Just now, His Eminence, I think it was His Eminence who said that how much to give up or control, as in with regards to our things, it actually depends on the individual. Like for example, if someone is very addicted to computer games, maybe his mother will have to lock the computer in order to stop him. My question is, what happens if you have come to the point where you have already given up the physical thing already, done the most extreme, kept yourself far away from it, but you still feel a craving for that thing, or it could be a hobby or anything which basically you're attached to. Then how do you reduce and completely remove that attachment even when you have already done the maximum possible, which is to give up the very thing and stay away from it? Thank you.
Thank you. Mei Ling, would you like to give a book to the lady? Even though she asked 2 questions, she only get 1 book. I shall pass the mic first to Tracy. Tracy, would you like to comment about integrity at work, telling white lies? And then you can pass the mic to Jetsuma.
I've woken up late for meetings before, very important meetings, and I show up and I say to the client, sorry, I'm so embarrassed to say I overslept. I have not lost a mandate because I've overslept. Actually, to me, oversleeping is a pretty harmless thing. It happens to everybody. And I think people are a lot more forgiving than you think. I think it'd be worse if you didn't say you overslept and you said something else, and eventually they did find out that you did and you couldn't say it. I've always believed that honesty is the best policy, because when you tell one lie, you have to tell the next to cover the next, and then very soon you forget. And you know, sooner or later you get caught up. And that's what I've always taught my children. I think on the question of addiction, at the end of the day, it's self-discipline, and you know, we all have to learn self-discipline. I have 3 children, so I can tell you, being a mother is not easy, and you just have to encourage and believe that you'll get there one day.
Yes, I endorse what's just been said. I think that if one starts making too many ethical compromises, it becomes a habit. And it's a downward slide, so to speak. One thing we do and everything, oh, that's not so important, and it was for a good reason, and then somehow or other next time it's that much easier, and then much easier, and before you know it, oh, your integrity has gone to the wall. So as much as possible, I think it's good to keep to ethical standards as much as possible. As she says, often if one admits one's faults, people are much more tolerant than one imagines, because they all know that they've had the same problems themselves. So yes, I think it's good to keep integrity as much as possible in the ethical field, because otherwise compromises begin to take over your life, and that's not a good thing. As far as addictions are concerned, our underlying problem is our cravings. Craving comes in many forms. If it's not one thing, it's something else. And so it's helpful, first of all, as you were saying, that you have to be conscious. We have to be aware of when these feelings come, and to recognize we have a choice. Just because we have a deep craving to do something doesn't mean we have to do it. We can say no. And gradually, as we say no and get used to saying no, and with some humor, the craving begins to lessen, and we recognize that we are in control of the situation instead of being controlled by our particular craving. In the meantime, perhaps even we can distract ourselves by doing something else. So that we're not sitting there biting our fingernails. But basically, I think the important thing really is to recognize that we have to be the masters of our life, and that we cannot be the slaves to our various longings and addictions and cravings. Really, we have to be in control. Because if we are in control, we will feel satisfied. And if we give in, we will just feel regret. And if we remember that, then we can build up. It's like picking up weights, you start with small weights and you get heavier weights, and then your muscles become strong. So our inner muscles of our own, self-discipline become strong by a practice. So regard it as a wonderful practice to make yourself inwardly strong and not weak and wimpy, right? So don't worry. It's okay. Everybody, our nature is to have these cravings and desires. This is what we're working with. So when there's something very obvious, then we should be grateful, because it's something which we can really get to work on. It's not insidious, it's very obvious, isn't it? And that's how we get strong inside. So don't worry, be happy.
I also, of course, agree with what Tracy and Chizuma said. And in terms of negative karma, definitely lying is a negative karma, especially when it is for oneself. Then there is no excuse about it not being a negative karma. And as Chizoma said, one or two, and Tracy said, one or two times it might work. But sometimes after too much, whether it's individual lie or whether it's a company lie, once you lose the trust of the world, trust of your client, actually economically also it doesn't make very much sense. Some people, when they think that they should be a, they're like say, very good speaker or very kind of good at talking with the people, especially to them when you meet the important people and all that. Some people think that you should be very smart means you should be very convincing, and convincing is you should lie and add up to make it convincing. And it might work one or two times. After some time, people will know that you always lie. So in the one day you tell the truth also, they will not believe you. And if you go on telling the truth, of course, the truth, but truth has to be spoken with the wisdom. And the wisdom, I feel the most important is, by my saying this truth, will it hurt the other person? Will it harm other things? If it will, then you don't need to lie, you can remain silent. If somebody is looking awful in the morning, you don't need to say, you're looking awful today. It is the truth, sure, but there's no need to mention that. Maybe, you don't need to mention that. Maybe she's looking awful but very slim. You can just say, you're looking very slim. That's the wisdom. Why hurt other people's feeling? But in general, if you're truthful, first people might not believe you, especially when you're in the business, when you're meeting very important people, most important rich people or politicians, ministers, they are usually doubtful. They're very suspicious. They've been fed with a lot of lies. So they might not believe what you're saying. But 2 times, 3 times, 1 year, after some time, they believe whatever you say. And they will respect because you do speak the truth. Now that I'm talking on individual level. But just because we cannot speak truthful, if somebody says, I can't be a Buddhist because Buddha will look down upon me, I think that's wrong. Because in the Buddhist teaching, Buddha is not a god that judges. Buddha is a teacher who is full of unconditional compassion, without judgment. So even if you are a liar, a cheater, it's not like Buddha will be like, don't come here, I hate you. Buddha will not judge. Our judgment, good things, bad things happen because of the karma, result of our action. Not because you are liars, so Buddha will send from up there some stone on your head, some unfortunate. No, not like that. That's why Buddha said, if that is the case, Buddha is so compassionate. Even if you're doing bad, he will pick us up and throw up there, Whatever we do, he will forgive us. But so sadly, Buddha said he cannot. I can show you the path, but it's up to you. Respect the karma and the consequence. For example, among the 5 precepts, there are many precepts in the Buddhist story about a man who couldn't. Somebody went up to the desert and they found one man. During the day, he's enjoying so much food and wine and drink women. In the night, these beautiful women were becoming snakes and eating him. And then later when they asked Buddha, why is that? Because there was one, butcher man. He couldn't keep. He was killing all the time. So the one Arahat, told him that even if you cannot observe vow during the day, at least observe during the night. So because karma is a very fair. So during the day he killed animals, during the night he observed the vow. So during the night he had a wonderful time. And during the day he had to suffer. Because karma is very, very fair. Karma is so fair actually, that is why people who are doing bad things also, they can be successful. But they may be doing other good things. They may have done other. People who are doing good things now, but they may do other bad things. Or in their past. Karma is very fair. Karma is not like human society. Human society is, even if you've been very good, perfect for 10 years, you do one mistake, pull you down. Karma is not like that. For 10 years you've been a good boy. Today you make a mistake. For this mistake, there is a negative result. For 10 years you've been a good boy, good girl. For that there is a positive result. It's a very fair karma. And Buddha will not judge you. So if you cannot take 5%, take 4%. If you cannot take 1, especially the most important is the wish to harm others. That is the most important, the first precept that we should take. As a Buddhist, what's our value? Every being want happiness, do not want suffering. So the first thing we have to talk about is not harming others. That is the first value. That value we must have. After that addition, there are 3. The monks have 250 vows. Nuns have, the Bhikshuni have 300 something vows. And Vajrayana has few millions. Up to you. It's an individual part. So, that is thing. But Mahayana, there's a twist. Mahayana, you can lie if it's for the benefit of others. There's no selfishness at all. But you have to lie with the wisdom. For example, let's say that there's somebody is about to get killed. Someone about to go shooting somebody. Or somebody's, they've lost a nuclear bomb, let's say. Or formula for a nuclear bomb. And you know where it is. If somebody says, can you find a way? I don't think you should be truthful. Definitely you should lie. Definitely you should. Oh no, I don't see it. I don't see that person. He's gone. Definitely you should lie. For the benefit of selflessly. But we should not take that as an excuse to lie all the time, even for others. Because sometimes lying for others harms them rather than benefit them. For example, somebody is lazy, you lie for them. Let's say you say you're Mahayana. But by lying, so is it something, in case of emergency, that person couldn't help? Or are you encouraging that person throughout his life to be a lay person? Maybe today you are there to lie for him, but what if you join another company and nobody will lie for him, but it's still habit of the late is always there. So maybe, compassion is the lying, but compassion has to be with the wisdom. And what was the second question? How to addiction? Yes. Well, that also, I think it depends on the, like external renunciation part. It does depend on different yanas. Theravada, Mahayana have different views. But from the Vajrayana point of view, before external renunciation, one will probably say internal renunciation is more important. What is meant by internal renunciation is that, from my point of view, I feel that maybe I have not really read in the scriptures or anything like that, but it's my kind of experience, understanding. I feel that we will truly become a spiritual practitioner from the day we are 100% convinced that happiness and sadness, rich and poor, is not existing there, but it is projection of my mind. Until we have that, for example, let's say there was one example that I use usually is that about privacy and loneliness. For example, there are certain stages in our life, certain times, we want privacy, we want freedom. So that time people are calling us, our mother, our friends calling us, where you are, what you're doing. We hate it. We feel so unhappy about it. Because, and then maybe after our mothers, our family, they get the message, don't call us, don't bother me, I want my privacy. And they stop calling us. 1 month very good, 2 months very good, 3 months, 4 months, start to feel a bit lonely. Nobody cares about me. Whether I exist or not, also nobody makes a difference. Then you start to feel lonely and wish that they will call you. So probably, but maybe embarrassed to say, because 3 months ago I had a big fight, telling not to call. So if you do say also, your probably parents, friends will be confused. Sometimes they call, sometimes they don't call. You don't know what to do. So of course, how you choose your life different, but I will say that if you can understand that, and that at a certain period, we have a concept which says happiness is privacy, happiness is freedom. At that time, if people call, we are very unhappy. By a certain stage, our conceptual mind maybe is moved by a movie, family movie, I don't know, whatever concept. You suddenly feel lonely, you have lost your job, I don't know, whatever. And the conceptual mindset, to be loved, to be cared for, to be known that you make a difference is happiness. At that time, if people call you on the right time, you're very happy. So that if you can understand that even happiness itself, even though it looks so real, pain so real, is also conceptual. It doesn't exist as it appears to be. If you have that understanding deep in your heart, from that time I feel you will be a genuine spiritual practitioner. Maybe not good, maybe not perfect, directionally will not go wrong. Because from that day onwards, you always look for the solution within you. And every you will practice, you will be interested in doing Dharma. Dharma transforms my mind. And my mind is the source of everything. So I will do Dharma, I'll do practice. Nobody will tell me to do. Why? Because I want to be happy. Happy and sadness is within myself. So you will definitely want to do. Until that conviction has come, maybe we can be a Buddhist, we can accumulate karma, we can do, but true spiritual practitioner, I don't think so. Because, deep in our heart, we say, my happiness is there. My happiness in that person, that country, that job. Of course, on the side, I do Dharma, maybe because I'm born into it. Maybe it's very interesting topic. It makes me feel good to do some chanting. I accumulate little karma, why not? There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not saying it's bad. Truly, are you on the spiritual path? That is, another question. And as far as Vajrayana path, we say, desire doesn't have to be rejected. Desire has to be realized. Desire has to be left without grasping. So desire is not necessarily kind of chucked out, open where you can't anyway. It is a mind, but it has to be understood and realized. Then the material things are not too bad, and you will not be addicted anyway. You can use it in a very comfortable, relaxed way if you need to, or you stay in a mountain. It's up to you. If you don't have the understanding, even in the mountain you can get attached. My teacher told me that in the mountain also, I don't think he did, but just to teach us, he used to get attached about, wow, my cave is quite big. Very dry, not wet. And there's a big slab, very comfortable. I hope other people will not use that. This is my nice sofa, stone sofa. They're the same. So that is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there is time for just one last question. Quite a few SMSs have come in, but I think I would choose this one. It's not directly related to wealth, but I suppose, when we are chasing after our material wealth, sometimes we do get hurt. So the question is, if someone dear to us has betrayed us or has hurt us deeply, how do we let go of this hurt? With genuine compassion? Or, as people say, time will heal. But what can we do during this healing period? Perhaps I direct this question to Jetsuma. Oh, by the way, who asked this question? Please raise up your hand. Here. Mei Ling.
Well, in Tibet, in the 11th century, came a great Bengali scholar called Atisha. And among the many things which he did for helping to reintroduce Buddhism into Tibet was to set down a group of teachings which are called, in English, the mind training or the lojong. And basically, these teachings are dealing with how we take everything which happens to us onto the path. How we don't reject anything, and especially how we take the difficulties which we meet with in our daily life as part of our training. How to really overcome things which normally we would regard as an obstacle, and recognize this as a great opportunity for our spiritual advancement. And one of the categories of this is dealing with people who hurt us, who do things which really make us feel very sad, who often people that we have helped ourselves, that we've cared for, and they turn around and do something really mean to us or something which really hurts us very much. And our normal reaction is to feel just that. To feel hurt, to feel bitter, to even wish to retaliate, or at least to consider this as being a betrayal. And so the Lojong teachings say, no, this is actually our great opportunity. We should, instead of seeing these people as someone who hurt us or even as an enemy, we should recognize that actually they're great spiritual friends, because they are teaching us how to take this painful feeling and use it on the path as a means of opening up with compassion and understanding, forbearance and patience. These qualities are extremely important on the spiritual path. We all need them, but normally when people are very nice to us, if we're surrounded by people who are kind to us, who are loving to us, who do and say to us what we want them to do and say, that is very pleasant, but we don't learn anything. It's very easy to be loving towards people who are lovable. But the challenge comes to feel love and compassion and patience towards people who are obnoxious. And so therefore, when people do things to us which hurt us, instead of feeling resentment or hurt, we should feel gratitude, because this is going to make us inwardly much stronger. And we are, it's like if we want to develop muscles, as I said, if I pick up the paper up and down, this is very nice, but I'm not going to get any muscles from doing that. I have to pick up heavy weights. It's like if you go to a gymnasium, you have to exercise by pulling heavy weights. Likewise in life. Our life is not here just to have a good time. Our life really is to learn lessons, to learn how to develop, how to gain qualities which up to now we have been unable to gain. And so therefore these circumstances and situations which come to us in our life which really challenge us, that's where we can call up our inner reserves, our inner qualities and energies. And so it's therefore, as I say, instead of feeling resentful, we should feel grateful, because they are the means by which if we respond in a positive way, we can learn a tremendous amount, and later on looking back, we can feel gratitude for that opportunity to advance and to become more inwardly strengthened in our genuine love and compassion. We cannot just feel love for people who are lovable. We have to learn how to love all beings. And so in this way, as I say, this is our opportunity for taking everything onto the path, not discarding anything. And so that, I think, is the attitude to take, to be grateful rather than resentful for whatever people do to us.
As I was saying earlier, Buddha in his infinite kindness had given so many methods, so many teachings, that if I had been speaking first, I probably would have said what Chisholm said. But since Chisholm had already shared a wonderful way of thinking, I would like to speak a little bit differently. But same, yet at the same time, same. I fully agree with what Chisholm has said. And that is a very correct way. And I would like to say, add on to that a little bit. is that such ways can be dealt according to our level. Different yanas have different methods. Different, according to our own practice level, there are different ways of handling it. Vajrayana way of handling will be related to the story that I would like to share. I don't know how accurate the story is, but there's a joke among us, about this story is that I think about maybe at the beginning of the century, British sent an exploration expedition. I think Colonel Young was, I can't remember the name, sent to Tibet for exploration. So when the British first went to Tibet, Tibetans have a prediction that one day, some foreign devils or some outsiders will come. There's some prediction in the Tibet. So they are very afraid of the foreigners, especially the Westerners. The Tibetans have never seen yellow-haired, green eye. So scared. So they have this must be the demons that maybe Guru Padma Sambhava went to subdue. So in the Himalayan culture, it is Tibet, Bhutan, is when you want to chase an evil spirit, you clap like that. So all the villagers gathered on the ridge above and then did a prayer and clap. And the British soldiers felt so happy. They thought, oh my God, so welcoming. Can be welcomed. Because in the conceptual mind of the Western people, clapping is a positive sign. And in the Asian, I don't know, Himalayan definitely is chase away. And then later when the British were, I think, invited by the government, and they went to officials, then the Himalayan and Tibetan people started to show them respect. So the Tibetans showed them their tongue. Then the British got very upset. They are showing their tongue to us. Such a no manner. Not a gentleman at all, these guys. But from the Tibetan side, they were showing respect. So the story of what we have to get from this is, what is right and wrong is also very much conceptual idea that is defined by society, individually, collectively. It is very much also not really existing there. So Vajrayana practitioner will, rather than getting so much caught up in the conceptual, he or she will relax in that whatever the nature of emotion, and understand that concept doesn't exist that strongly. But that is, I just wanted to share the Vajrayana view because I am a Vajrayana practitioner. But I'm not saying that, I can do that, I am that highly learned, because these things take a lot of time. But at least if you don't understand, then there's no start at all. We'll never reach there, that's for sure. If you take the first step, you'll never reach the 2000, journey of 2000 league starts with the first step. There's Chinese saying. And if you are truly a Mahayana strong practitioner, Mahayana teaches that Mahayana as well as Vajrayana is part of Mahayana. Skillful method is different, but it is a part of Mahayana. Philosophy-wise, there's no difference. Skillful method, visualization, puja, all a little bit different. So as a Vajrayana and Mahayana practitioner, all the beings are our mother sentient beings. Right? And they've done us extreme kindness. So maybe let's say somebody gives us a boxing in our face. We'll be very upset. How dare he? But if you truly believe that they are your mother and father, and then they've done so much kindness to you, compared to them, one boxing is nothing. Compared to their kindness, this little bit is nothing. For example, our parents scold us, we can take it because we love them. If ordinary people show a finger, we cannot. Why? Because we appreciate and love our parents. So if you truly have the Mahayana view on Mother Sentient Being, definitely it is much easier to forgive others. And then lastly, one more from Shantideva, he says that when people are so much controlled by the desire that they even kill themselves, that shows that when people harm us, it's not like they really have a choice. So much controlled by the desire, negative emotion, that they even kill themselves. Usually, most precious to us, ourselves and our body. Yet when they're controlled by unfulfilled desire, unfulfilled wishes, they even kill themselves. So much strong are the emotions. So when they can kill themselves into their infinite, why not us? For example, look at ourselves. When we get angry, do we say, let's get angry now? We don't. Uncontrollably we get angry. We say things which we don't mean hurt others. Similarly, uncontrollable other beings harm us. They are also under the same influence that we are in. That's why sometimes, when people are getting married, they ask for blessing and all of that. So they say, what advice do you have? I say, the best advice is that true love doesn't exist. Because to consider the true love is very much, I think, the movie maker. True love is perfect husband, perfect wife. Then they will be Buddha. Without any fault. That is the definition of the Buddha. The male and female Buddha getting married. Wow. Then definitely it should be a perfect, true love. How can that be? We human beings are imperfect. We are not enlightened. That's why we need to practice Dharma. So I always say the best advice is don't believe in true love. Rather believe that true love is when two imperfect people accept each other's fault, has a room in them, a room to forgive, should be like this room. So in this room, already the room is huge. Even 10 people more come, already can fit. So you already are prepared that we are all not perfect. I am not perfect, you are not perfect. The room of understanding, forgiveness is already there. So when other people make mistakes, you already are prepared to forgive, even before they make mistake. Because you know we are all imperfect. And when two imperfect people accept their imperfection, that is maybe true love. And then you will probably have a good marriage. That's how I say. I haven't been married, so I don't know.
Well, thank you, speakers. Thank you for a very enjoyable and very lively discussion. And the audience, you have been a wonderful audience as well. So the main takeaway for me, at least, is that there is no inherent conflict in being a Buddhist and striving for material wealth, as long as we can keep to the Buddhist precepts, and as long as we grow our wealth and we have our correct mental attitude of non-attachment, and remember to have compassion for others. So may I have another round of applause for our speakers? Thank you very much.